Snickers or Mars bar?
Snickers.
Come on.
What kind of Mars?
That's it.
Yeah. Our specialty is working with care experienced young people 16 to 25. We support them with their transition into independence.
You guys created something in the relationship that enabled them to step into that.
I quickly realised that a lot of our young people might not be ready for work yet because they might be dealing with court proceedings or housing issues or anything like that.
I don't want to crash out in front of people. Proper uncle vibes there. Hello and welcome back to the Social Matters podcast. We are three social workers talking about social matters. My name is Eugene.
I'm Fran.
Hi, I'm Nadia.
And we are joined by a very, very special person today. It's not me this time. It's the way because I'm here all the time. We are joined by the fabulous Jade Barnett.
Hi.
Hi, Jade. Jade is having so much fun, everyone.
I am.
Just
I'm having a great time. Thanks for having me.
No worries. Thanks for coming on to the podcast. We're so excited to have you. We met, me, you and Nadia met, what was it, almost 2 years ago now?
Yeah.
At the Cumberland Lodge
A while ago.
event.
I still remember it like yesterday, to be fair.
Yeah. And
You speaking was one of the most kind of standout moments for me in terms of sharing. You
Always got something to say.
you have, which is good because we're gonna be talking for a while there. But
so good.
Yeah, it's great. It was great not only to meet you there, but then to see your journey since and hear about you. So which we're going to be talking a lot about today. So strap yourselves in.
Should we say a bit, or do you want to say what Cumberland Lodge was for those
Very
who were
good
just
idea.
listening and thinking,
What are you talking about?
Yeah.
So fair.
Yeah.
So it was an event organised by Ben Lindsay and Professor Carleen Furman to bring together 50 black professionals that work in the safeguarding kind of space from different sectors, and it was an opportunity to come together to think about our identities as professionals in the space. Even that term professional, became quite a topic of discussion. But it was just it was such an enriching and challenging and epic event. And that's where we kind of met Jade.
It was very emotional.
Very emotional.
Yeah, at times, very much. Yeah. Quite heavy but good.
Yeah.
And it definitely expanded me understanding how the sector works, but also other people that are working in the space, coming from all different locations across London and the UK, to be fair. So it was really nice. Got some great connections from there and had a really nice time.
Yeah.
Good.
And I think that's something that we were kind of left with, I suppose, the legacy of that event.
Yeah.
The fact that we're even in this conversation here is, a sort of a bit of an afterlife of that event. So powerful stuff.
We have questions for you, but we wanted to start with a little bit of we didn't tell you about this.
I know, I was just realising we didn't
but it's good.
It's
It's good.
Okay.
Well, I'm saying it's good.
Yeah.
I think it's good. But it's a little bit of a check-in game activity. So Nads will kind of explain.
Okay.
So what I'm going to do, I'm going to ask you a series of this or that questions.
Okay.
So you have to sort of land on, would you choose this or that?
Okay, got you.
It's quite quick fire.
Okay.
So get to it.
All right.
And just relax, and the first thing that comes to mind, don't give it too much thought. Just go for it.
And no judgment at all.
Yeah, no judgment.
Unless it's really bad, we'll edit it out.
I got you. Okay. All right.
Okay, so are you ready?
Yes, I'm ready.
All right, here we go. Ice cream flavours, chocolate or strawberry?
Chocolate.
Holidays, beach or adventure?
Beach.
Night out or chill at home?
Chill at home.
Snickers or Mars bar?
Snickers.
Come on.
What kind of Mars?
That's it. Thank you.
Would you rather be too hot or too cold?
Too cold.
Tea or coffee?
Neither.
Tea.
Tea.
Fair. Gym or yoga?
Gym.
Would you rather be a driver or a passenger?
Passenger.
Summer or winter?
Summer.
Plantain or plantain?
Plantain.
Hey, you were doing so well. Plantain.
No.
What do you say? Does anyone says mountain?
No, that's not the point. That's not the point. That's not the point.
Thank you. You did well.
Yeah.
Real aversion to a Mars bar, I see.
Yeah, no,
You were
I'm
like, no.
definitely not.
Yeah.
And even the chocolate and the strawberry, I would have said vanilla, but I had to pick out of the two. Strawberry's a dead flavour.
Oh, wow.
I would have gone with strawberry over
Dead.
chocolate.
Dead.
No. All right.
I love
Absolutely.
strawberry. I
And you don't drink
strawberry.
tea or coffee, I sensed.
No. But
okay.
if I had to, it would be like a herbal tea.
Yeah.
You know what I
Okay.
mean? Like,
So how do you keep yourself awake in the morning?
That people don't drink coffee, you know,
No,
and that's brand new
absolutely
information to you.
Wow.
But some people don't drink coffee.
Adrenaline gym, innit?
You go gym early,
Gym,
right?
yeah, keep it moving, you know.
Yeah.
Creatine in my cup, you know.
Oh, go on then.
Okay. Love it.
Another episode. Well, thanks, Jade, for giving us a
That
little
was
bit of
good.
insight into who you are. Like I said, no judgment, but I'm just going to make a note on my phone about
Strawberry ice
that
cream.
plantain. No.
Yeah.
But yes, so just the first question, let's start with your journey. So I'm just looking at questions now. So can you tell us a bit about who you are, what you do, and what brought you into your line of work?
Okay, my name is Jade Barnett. I'm the CEO and founder of Power to Prevail Community. We're a social enterprise that supports vulnerable young people see that their past and present circumstances don't define them. But our specialty is working with care experienced young people 16 to 25. We support them with their transition into independence. So as you'll know, when you turn 18, you kind of start moving out of the system in terms of becoming a care leaver. Some young people move into their own properties and a lot of them aren't necessarily equipped for that transition. So we support them with that. And I did that based off my own lived experience of being in the care system. It was a really hard transition, not only just going into care, being into care, but also moving out of care was really hard. So I wanted to create something that, you know, from my lived experience of what I learned on the way, which I feel like young people should be equipped for. I got into this space actually from, I guess, being in care and being moved around quite a lot. You could say I was a troubled child, as they would call me. And it was really difficult, especially when I moved to Blackpool. I was like, you know, moved away from the life of London that I once had. And I think I had that like pivotal moment where I was like, I never want a young person to kind of go through the same transition I was going through. And when I came back to London, I was working the odd like night shift jobs because I was living on my own. I had to like pay bills and things. And then I fell into finding out about the VRU, which is the London Financial Reduction Unit. And they had an opportunity for us, young people to become a part of their YPAG, which is like a younger version of the Violence Reduction Unit. And I applied for the opportunity, but I never really deeped what it was because the way they promoted it, it wasn't the way they promote it now. It was kind of just like, would you like to be a part of like activism and social change and, you know, combating violence for young people. And that was something that was important to me because I used to go to youth club when I was in London. My sister was a youth worker. I'd always been in kind of like the youth work space, I guess, as a participant. And I guess that pivotal moment in Blackpool was like, okay, this sounds interesting to me. And it was until I went to my interview and I was like, okay, maybe this is a lot deeper than I thought it was. Like, okay, we're going to be working with the mayor. Like, I really want this to work. Really want this to work. And I put this presentation together. And I remember I was so scared doing the interview. And then they called back and said, like, you've got a space. And I guess that's where my activism started. I took every single opportunity that I could get, whether it was working with the police or being a part of, like, their campaigning, you know, doing interviews with ITV and all of that stuff. I put myself out in every single opportunity I can. Even if I was like doing a night shift, finished at 6 a.m, had to go college, then went to the VRU. I was just like, I need to get myself out there because I want to be a part of this space. And I guess that kind of brought me to where I am now, basically. So, yeah.
You're one of those people who have this special ability to freeze time and do so much.
Yeah.
I'm like, when you just telling me about all of this stuff, I'm like, how do you do all this stuff in 24 hours?
Yeah, no,
Smashed it.
I was just like, no, I want to soak up all the learning as well because I feel like what I quickly realized was I didn't really know where I wanted to fit, if that made sense, in terms of like the youth work sector is like quite big. You can like, you know, work again like with the police or you can work, you know, with like policy, you can work in terms of violence against women and girls. Like there's different departments to it. And I didn't know where I wanted to like fit in, if that made sense. I was interested in everything, but I didn't know exactly like where my passions fully lied. I knew, you know, I was really passionate about the care system because I was in the care system. I was passionate about education because I had been excluded from school, but I wanted to see if there was anything else that I was interested in. So I just put myself out for every single opportunity. My managers always used to say to me like, Jade, you know, you just need to, you know, pace yourself. Everyone always says that to me, but I always just said to myself, if I could do it, I would do it. There's no harm in putting yourself forward for it if you can and you have the capacity. So yeah, and I got a lot out of it because it wouldn't have got me to where I am now, really. So yeah, that was like my first introduction like into the space. So yeah.
Love it. Thank you.
Whenever we have guests on, it always makes me check my own life and think, oh God, you need to sort your life out, do more because you're not smashing it. How does it, when you first started, you're like CEO and founder, how does it feel to hear yourself say that? What's it like?
Still scary. Like it feels really weird. Like even when I like go to like networking events and I'm like, yeah, I got this organization. They're like, oh, like what's your role? And I'm like, oh yeah, I'm this.
Yeah, you are.
It's mine.
Yeah, and I'm like, oh my gosh. I'm like, yeah. So it is very, very strange, but I also do feel like it feels comforting because I do feel like I've like gotten to a place where like I need to own that.
Yeah,
that's
and
absolutely.
I've worked really hard for it.
Yeah.
So to be able to be like, yeah, like I am the CEO of my own business. Like it feels really nice, but still uncomfortable. But I feel like over time that will become a lot more easier, you know.
Yeah.
Amazing work. So we know identity and lived experience kind of shape how we show up in this work. You touched on it a little bit, but how has your background and lived experience influence how you show up in the work and your activism role?
I guess identity was something that was I really struggled with, especially when I moved away again from like London to Blackpool. You know, being black and being in Blackpool, if no one knows, but Blackpool is a not very diverse area.
As a northerner, I know when you said that, I was like, that's what came to mind.
Not very diverse at all. And I guess actually identity played a part also within school as well. You know, something that was always like carried with me throughout any school I went to, because I was moved quite a lot just due to like behavior. It was always like, oh, you're very loud black girl, or, you know, you chat too much, all of that stuff. And I feel like that was something that kind of like made me feel as if like anything I had to say, someone would like batter me back, if that would make sense. And then again, moving to Blackpool, I struggled with identity because it was like, I didn't know if I should love my skin or if I should like, you know, fight for the things that I need in terms of like, you know, my hair products or the skin products. Like when I moved to the care home I was at, it was very hard for me to even get support with like getting my hair done. And I was really like struggling with the fact of like, how do I manage this? You know, I can't just come out of my care home and like I see like black hair shops on the front of the strip. Like I was literally like on the beach, you know. And I even remember like having like these weird feelings of like people just always staring at me, like when I got on the bus, because I lived in like an area where it was like more like a retirement area. It's called Live in St. Anne's, so it was like a lot of older people that were there, and I guess they don't really see people like me like there often, so people would always stare you down. I even remember when I was working in this Chinese restaurant, and a lady came in and I had my afro out because at the time like I wasn't getting my hair done, I wasn't getting my hair braided. I had to kind of just make do with what I had, and she came in and she was talking about how she's a hairdresser and, you know, she wants to like expand her business to like doing like ethnic hair and all of that stuff. And I was thinking, where's this woman going with this conversation? Like, so, you know, obviously like I'm working, so you're just like, yeah, like, you know, listening. And then she asked to touch my hair. And that was the first time I was like, whoa, like, this is like a really weird space to be in, because no one in London would ever ask to just touch my hair. And I remember my manager like gave me the little like look as if to say like, you know, you better like, you know, customers always right, you know, you've got to make sure the customer's happy. So I said yeah. She paid my hair a little bit and she gave me a £5 tip after. So it was like I was like in this like I was like in this limbo at the same time of like, you know, not really understanding why she asked, whether or not it was actually curiosity or whether or not it was her just kind of, I don't know, like if it was like a malicious ask, I'm not too sure. I remember going home to my care home and speaking about it, and some of my carers were a bit like fuming about the situation because she should have never put me in that situation, and my manager should have also given me the opportunity to say no. But then I remember one of my carers, she was also black, which was a nice aspect to have because she really kind of helped me work through that identity crisis, where it was like, you know, sometimes you have to like teach people, and it might not feel like it's your place to, but sometimes you have to also say to people like, you know, that's not the right way to approach this kind of situation. And that's kind of how I then went along in college, kind of like saying to people, because they would be like, when I did start getting my hair done, because that Kerry would take me to like Preston, which is kind of more near like Manchester. So there was one hair care shop, like black hair shop, and the lady used to do my hair. And some of my friends would be like, your hair was like this yesterday. How did your hair get like this? How did it get so long? And I'm like, don't you not like ever watch like music videos or see like, you know? And my hair just said to me, sometimes you just got to explain, you know? So I'll be like, oh, like they plaited my hair and they put extra hair, and they're like, oh, like that's so like crazy. I've never heard that before. And I was just thinking like, this is absolutely mad that I've had to explain this. But I started getting a little bit more comfortable about doing it. And I also like petitioned to my care home that I need extra money for my hair and skin products. And it wasn't until our home became a black home, because at that point it was like, I don't know, but London social services seemed to be like sending a lot of like black kids like further down. And our home at that point, we had at least like 3 young people who came from London who were all black. So when they came in the house, I had more of a leverage to stand on to be like, well, I'm not the only one. And all of us had long hair, even the boy, he had long hair. So it was like, I had more of a leverage to stand on to be like, okay, we need this now. It's not just me saying I need extra money. It's the fact that all 3 of us did. So then eventually we ended up getting this like cultural money that came into our care home. So yeah, eventually I started to realize like, it's not something I should shy away from. It's something I should definitely embrace. And but then when I came back to London, I was like, oh, thank God. Got access to everything now. But that also made me quickly realize that cultural competency is something that a lot of, you know, practitioners in the social care space don't really think about in depth. And also the impact of me moving so far away from home. Did anyone really think about how that would make me feel like mentally, not just like physically from the things that I needed, but you know, that transition of being able to be black and be in a space where I am the only black person in the room at such a young age, of navigating all the other things that I've got going on. So that also now within the work that we do at P2P, that we try to embrace that throughout like our program. So we have like this self-love and self-care like time on our program. We have like a week of it where we like buy those products for our young people. You know, we send those products if our young people do get moved away from outside of London. We speak about it not just to our black young people that come through our program, but to all our young people, because it's important for all of them to understand it too and appreciate that that might be something that someone might be struggling with, and you might not understand it to that certain extent, but it's important for them to know. And then also I guess in my own line of work of being a public speaker and sometimes doing a bit of like consulting here and there, I like try to like channel that, like whenever I'm doing keynotes, like speak about it, how important it is for people to really understand the wider context of it. So yeah, like that identity piece, I guess, definitely did shape like my like drive to kind of want to show to people that like, you know, I'm just not just the loud black girl, and you know, I'm not just talking about experiences that are typical for black girls, like this is our life, like this is what we have to go through day in, day out. So yeah, it definitely shaped a lot of the stuff that we do now, and I'm lucky that I have a team that appreciates that as well. Like my lead facilitator, she's like I like to call her my assistant director, because if I was sick or anything happened, she'd be able to manage it all on her own. So, but she's white and she really does like appreciate that, and she really supports us so well in terms of like her going out of her way to understand it and, you know, ask questions. And she always gets a bit nervous if she asks me questions about it, but I say to her, like, at the end of the day, if you want to know, then you must ask. And it's important that you do ask, because when young people might come and ask you questions or need help from you, you can offer that support too. It doesn't always have to be coming from me. And I appreciate that about her, because some people kind of don't go out of their way to want to learn and more about it. So I would say, sorry, I felt like I was talking now.
No, this is why you're here. You to talk, so it's great.
I was just wondering, how old were you when you had that experience in the Chinese restaurant?
So I moved to Blackpool. I went into care quite late. So I think I was about 14, 15 when I went to care. So I must have moved to Blackpool when I was around like 16.
Okay.
So yeah, because I got a job. Because you have to be 16.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was about 16.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I was just wondering about how, like, if you were to kind of speak to that 14, 15 17-year-old again, like what would you say to her? Like what was some of the, I don't know, advice you'd give, or what you know? I mean, you're not wildly away from that now. I know you're still quite young.
No, it feels like it was ages ago now. I guess first thing first, I would actually say to her, like, be open for help, because I feel like it wasn't until like about a year ago I actually like introduced like even like therapy into my life. I was very against it when I was young. I didn't want to speak to no one about nothing. Like, no one could understand what I was going through, could understand what was going on in my brain. I mean, that would be the first thing, is like, don't like shy away from the help, because you need it. I was pretty angry, especially before getting to Blackpool. Even like speaking to some of my carers, they'll be like, you used to pack a bag and hide it in someone's garage, and then say to like your carers, oh yeah, say to us like, oh, you're just gonna go out to the shop, and I'll grab the bag and run. I don't even remember some of these things. And I think I was very angry when I first moved to Blackpool, but then I came to a realization that the only way for me to get out of Blackpool is to kind of show my social worker that I was doing okay and I was fine and stuff. But I do think that if I actually got the therapy support to like manage what I had gone through, you know, I had seen a lot of mad stuff before I had moved to Birmingham and then to Blackpool, and even the transition of leaving my family and my friends and that whole life was really hard to like manage. And because I was so against anyone bringing anyone in, I think it made me more angrier. So first things first, I would say like definitely don't shy away from the help, because you do need it. There's nothing wrong like with seeking help and getting help with like your mental health, because shouldn't be a taboo, you know, thing. But then I would also say like, don't be afraid to be a teacher, but then also don't be afraid to say no. Like, you don't have to say yes to everything. You don't have to be the yes man. Like, as much as I think at the time I wasn't, I definitely was. Looking back, but yeah, you can teach people, but obviously if you feel uncomfortable about things, you can also say no. And that also goes to not just adults, but also other young people, your peers. Because sometimes I don't want to explain to people about my hair or where I've come from as well. That was something I didn't want to tell people that I was looked after child, or that I was in the care home, or why I can't do sleepovers. Like, if I just say no, that should just be it. I don't have to go into depth about it, but sometimes I felt like I had to, because you know, they wanted an answer. So I'd also say like, don't be afraid to say no, but also don't be afraid to also teach people about the way that they should interact with you, because they might bump into another person and then they know how to interact with them again. But yeah, I would definitely say the help, being able to say no, and yeah, being a teacher. And also, last thing I would say, like, don't be afraid to use your voice. I don't think I've ever been afraid to use it, but I do think sometimes I was like, I kind of would hold back from saying things sometimes, because I felt like, oh, no one would ever hear me, no one would ever listen. You know, sometimes I had to show people, and showing people was getting angry or crashing out, as we would call it now, crashing out.
Oh, is that what you
crashing
call it?
out.
Write that down.
Thank you.
I love to say that young people education.
Crash out quite a lot, like get angry, throw things and stuff. But that was the only way I felt like people would listen to me. But actually, as I've gotten older, like, you don't have to do that. You know, you can say what you need to say and actually like make a mark on people. It's just about making sure that you say it in the right way so people can hear you, and that doesn't always have to be shouting as well, because that was something I used to do quite a lot. So yeah, like, own your voice, but remember, you don't always have to be the loudest in the room, and you don't have to crash out in order to get a response. So yeah, that's what I'd say, because it got me into a lot of problems back in those days.
But it is kind of great advice. And when thinking about when I'm listening to you, I'm thinking about the significance of your lived experience and how that kind of enters your work. And that question was in relation to your 15-year-old self, but I'm just and I've never been part of any of your workshops. I'm just thinking about how much young people are going to benefit from your wisdom and your words. So I hope people listening will also.
Not just young people, mate.
Yeah, older.
I was making notes.
Yeah, but when I say young people, I also include myself.
Yeah.
All right, why are you laughing so hard, Jade? I can be young people. I don't want to crash out in front of people. proper uncle vibes here.
You used it. The perfect note.
Thanks. I appreciate that. But thinking about your experience and the work you've done, so you've worked across the education sector, the youth sector, and different sectors. What's one kind of moment or story that stands out for you that fuels the passion for you to continue to do this work?
So I know you lot gave me these questions beforehand, so I actually sat and thought about it. There's actually two. So the first was actually when I did my first ever like keynote speech. It was the first time I actually like said in the open to people about like my story. And I actually remember like getting really tearful like when I was doing my keynote, and like my family know like when I get like when I'm about to cry, like my voice gets a bit like croaky, or like I like they can hear it. But I guess the strangers, like those people, don't really know that because I was also really nervous. But it was the first time I realized like how powerful my story was, and how like, you know, even though like, you know, not every single time being a speaker you have to speak about your lived experiences, but I do think that it made people realize about some of the young people that they've worked with and how they haven't seen them for who they are, but seen them for their behaviors instead of like actually understanding the wider context. And I guess that's also around like contextual safeguarding and stuff. And it really was like a pivotal moment for me, because it was like, raw, like I can really capture a room, you know, like I can really, you know, not just my lived experience, but also working with the VRU, I guess that professional experience that I was gaining, I was really being able to get people to really understand where young people are coming from and why they do the things that they do, but also understanding that they also have stories themselves. So that was a pivotal moment for me, because it was like, okay, like I can really like do this public speaking thing. Like I can really do this. And then that also then kind of counteracts the experience of when I did my first cohort with my young people. And I had two girls on my cohort who, when they first started, they were like, not mute, but they didn't really speak to us at all. And it was not long after, maybe like a week, I started to see them like come out of their shell. And, you know, it was even coming out of their shell, not just as like their own characters, but also like sharing bits and pieces of their stories with me and my lead facilitator, Miriam, about the things that they were going through. I remember taking them to like Nando's just to speak, because I knew I could see there was a lot going on that we kind of needed to unpack. And they like just told us everything. And I remember like that moment of like feeling really tearful for them and like kind of trying to not cry, but also like showing some tears, because it was like, raw, like a lot of these young people are going through so much things. And do your like, you know, practitioners who are supporting you, do they really know the like full extent of what you're telling us? And it wasn't until like the end of the program, when they did their celebration, they did their public speaking speech, they wrote a little speech which they would have never done at the very beginning of the program. They did their speech and they brought us little gifts, and they were like, you know, Jade and Miriam, like you lot have literally been like a big support system to us. You know, your consistency, like we would call them every single day, same time every single day, to make sure they get up, to come to program, you know, check in with them. Sometimes like I would pick them up to make sure they get to program on time, make sure they get home on time. If they needed any like toiletries or supplies for their house, like we would be able to like take some money out of the funds that we had to make sure we'd be able to support them. And they were just like, you know, we've never had someone who's like been so consistent over the last, you know, couple weeks we've been with you. And even now, program's done, I'm still supporting them the very best way that I can. And I think that was the moment I realized that what we're doing is special, because our young people can see it. It's not just numbers, like, oh, you know, you've been able to make a young person go into work now, or they fully know their independence route or whatever. It's actually about how we're making them feel. And you can't always get that through numbers. It's about like, you know, having those conversations with them, and the fact that they're like coming to the things that we're still doing now. So like we got like a paint party happening on Saturday, and they're coming to help set up. And like for the next cohort, they've asked to volunteer to be a part of helping those young people. And it's the fact that they want to come back every single time we have something going on, if they can make it. And for me, that shows longevity in the relationship that we built. It's not just a quick fix. So yeah, and you know, the fact that they can call on us for anything, like even things that we haven't said, like, you know, our mentoring SLEM is around like information, advice and guidance, and it is more around employability and moving on to the next step. But I quickly realized that a lot of our young people might not be ready for work yet, because they might be dealing with court proceedings or housing issues or anything like that. And they still come to us with all of that. We are actively being advocates for them, and that's really important for me because I didn't have someone who was like that was outside of like my social worker or my PA that was doing that for me. So yeah, that was a pivotal moment again because it made me realize like, raw, like we're doing the very best that we can, and it's showing up in our young people. So yeah, that keeps me going because that reignites relights the fire, because it can be really hard working with young people. Sometimes I could feel myself on program like, I just want to like shake them like why like why are you doing this yourself or what? But then at the same time, again, understanding context, understanding where they're coming from, and also giving myself the space. And that's why I do like working with Miriam again, because sometimes when energy might be a bit low, sometimes this session we can kind of like be like, okay, like you step up for this session, I'll run this session, and then we get each other, if that makes sense. Because I 110% can like empathize with practitioners who work with young people. It's not an easy job because you're taking on all of their stuff too, and you also have a life of your own as well. But yeah, so that was a really those two moments in my career was like, okay, I got to keep this going.
And I love that, and also that ideal like you've kind of said around remembering these moments, because when times are hard, then you'll be like, oh, this is why I do the work I do. So,
Exactly.
Brilliant.
Exactly.
I love as well from both moments of what kind of struck me from what you were saying is the power of relationship, because you were saying the girls, they wouldn't have done this at the beginning, they wouldn't have done that, but you guys created something in the relationship that enabled them to step into that. There was some kind of safety, something that you created. And then also the power of the relationship with Miriam to be able to be like, you know what, like step in for me here. Like I ain't got this today. Like that, the importance of relationship there is something that really stood out.
And even with Miriam, like we're like two peas in a pod in a way, because my young people say like I'm the strict one out of me and Miriam. Like I'm more of the like tough love kind of one, because I do think at times with me growing up, I probably did need a bit more tough love, even though, and that's not tough love like from, my dad wasn't, it was tough. It wasn't tough love, it was just tough, but I do think that sometimes I needed someone to just kind of like grab me and just say to me like, look, like this is what's gonna happen if you keep doing X, Y, and Z and whatnot. It wasn't until I got onto my own on my own was when I realized that for myself. And I do think some of my young people do need some tough love. It's not always just about like cuddling and being like, oh yeah, like it's okay, like what you did, what you crashed out, or you mashed up the shop, or you whatever, like that's okay, like it's fine, you're going through stuff, like that's not, you can't always use that as an excuse for young people. You have to teach them about the reality, because when you turn 18, life is going to look very different, because you're not just going to be able to get a slap on the wrist. Like you will end up in a situation that you might regret. So but with Miriam, she is very more empathetic, so sometimes when the young people does need that, she is there to kind of like come in and make sure they get that, and sometimes also remind me like, Jade, just be a little bit more sometimes.
A good combination.
So it works. And I think that's why we saw young people appreciate both of us and not just either or, because we're able to give them also what they need in like this universal approach, but in this like little package, if that makes sense. And she comes with some amazing ideas sometimes that I don't also think about in how to approach young people, especially as she's got some neurodiverse needs as well. And she's also got, I think it's type 1 diabetes, which is another aspect of like that piece of understanding the stuff that different young people are going through, because she was in the care system as well, and she got diabetes when she was like 11. And navigating that is a whole situation within itself. And she's able to bring that experience that I don't necessarily have, because I don't have diabetes and I'm not neurodiverse. So it's having her is amazing, and I can see the effects it has on our work ethic with our young people. So
big up Miriam.
Big up Miriam.
And we can relate. We always train as a 3, so we're like 3 peas in a pod. And
There's not enough space.
2 and then this one at the end. But there's something in that that was kind of really resonating when you were saying that.
So we're coming to the end of our conversation, and we always kind of ask our guests about like one piece of advice that you might be able to share. So just wanted to ask, if there was one piece of advice that you could give to somebody who wants to make a difference in their community, what would that one piece of advice be?
Get out in your community. Make sure you're outside. Whether it's finding opportunities and things that you really do enjoy or things that you're not necessarily too sure about. I guess it's going back to what I spoke about at the beginning, like putting yourself out there as much as you can and networking with people within your community, because you never know who knows who might know who might then can get you that opportunity. And yeah, just putting yourself in those spaces and places. And that doesn't always have to be that you have to be a public speaker, because, you know, there's loads of people that are doing amazing work in the space that don't do that. So, you know, don't confine yourself to thinking that, oh, you have to be the face of everything, or you have to be amazing at LinkedIn or whatever. Like, just get yourself out into the community, speak to people, tell them what you're passionate about, and kind of find your way from there. Because, yeah, it will open so many doors. I feel like a lot of the opportunities I've gotten is because of the people that I know and the people I've been able to say, okay, I'm interested in this. Like, how do I get my foot in the door? So, yeah, get out into your community and be open to take up the opportunities that come your way.
Love it.
Amazing.
Thanks,
Thank
Jade,
you,
for your
Jade.
wisdom. It's been so good to have you on and hear you speak passionately about the work you do. I think there's additional fire in the way people speak when you connect it with real life experiences, and I think really got that today from what you said. So really, thank you for sharing. If people wanted to find out more about you and your work and what you do, where, like, all your social websites?
Yeah, so literally everything: Jade Barnett, LinkedIn, Instagram. Yeah, Power to Prevail. It's literally power and then number 2 and then Prevail. You can find us on Instagram. We've got a LinkedIn page. We haven't got a website out yet because it's pending, it's coming. But yeah, you can find us on any of those. Yeah.
Great.
Much, so
and we'll put all of those in the show notes. So
Yeah,
if anyone wants to kind of find out, then you can click the links. But thank you so much. We have been Free Social Workers talking about social matters. You can find us on Instagram at Matters Podcast, LinkedIn Social Matters. Do share, comment, like, hit Jade up, hit us up, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.